So we're recording, and we're just going to kind of go through the basic miner setup here on a Windows machine. So tell me a little bit about what you've done so far. Like, are we at the very first step? Have you done anything that we need to look at? Where were you at so far?
Okay, so I am, wow, that's pretty bad. Bear with me for a second.
That's okay.
So I got so far as installing Node.js.
Okay, perfect. And that is something you're going to need. So that is good to have moving forward. So the first thing we'll do is there's two ways to get the Stacks node executable, the program that we're going to run. And the first one is to build it, which is kind of more involved. And the second one is to download it from GitHub. So what I'm going to do here is I will throw you a link in the chat that will take you to the releases. And here we go. Whoop, I didn't do the whole link. 1 second. Okay, so that's to GitHub where you'll see the latest release. And you'll want to download the folder that says windows-64.zip.
Okay. I'm trying to get to the chat right now.
That's okay.
Where's the chat? Okay. I don't see the link there.
Okay, if it's easier, I can send it over the Zoom chat if you want to access it that way.
Oh. You're talking about Discord.
Yeah, that tends to be a little easier for me than the Zoom one's
Yeah.
kind of weird to get in and out of.
Let me go find a Discord real quick. Okay. Okay, this link will take you to GitHub. All right. You want me to get the latest release and drop it in the command line interface?
Yeah, so basically you want to download the Windows x64 one, and we're going to extract it as well after we download it. So then we can use that folder is where we can do everything. You won't have to do the whole Stacks blockchain folder and everything else.
Okay. So just copy and paste, or?
Well, if you click on it to download, did it land? Where did it land? On your desktop or in your download folder? That'll be the first question.
Yeah, it's a download.
Okay. So can you bring up your downloads folder so we can see it? Because right now I still just see the PowerShell. I almost saw it. I still see the PowerShell.
Okay, let's download. Okay.
Okay, perfect. So you'll right click on that and you'll choose extract all. About the fourth one down. All right, so we should have a folder with the same name. Oh, there it is, right under node. You've got that folder for Windows-x64.
Let me, oops. Yeah, this one right. That one?
So you'll want to click on that, double click on that Windows-64. We should have 4 files in there.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So next step, we're going to go back to PowerShell.
You want me to pull that up and share that with you?
Yes, please.
Okay.
So we're going to run some stuff from there and kind of finish the process out there. All right.
Okay.
So the first thing we want to do is get into our downloads folder here in PowerShell. So I will send you the command. It's going to be cd downloads and then the Windows x64. So you can copy and paste that into PowerShell if that's easy, or you can type it, whatever works better for you.
I can copy and paste.
Yes, you can.
Okay.
We'll be doing quite a bit of that.
Okay.
Okay, so now you're in that same folder that we have those files in, and I'm going to have you run this command, stacks node krypton, and we're just going to make sure that our follower node starts up, and after that, we'll turn it off, and we'll set everything up to be a miner. But just make sure that the code works before we get too far.
Okay. You see the error?
Let me see. Function script file. Okay, so it's likely because we're in PowerShell. Okay, yeah, and it's that's not a problem. So we're going to modify that command just a tiny bit. I'm going to put a little dot and a slash in there, so it's going to look like that.
Okay.
Okay, so what you see here is the follower node starting up. So we haven't gotten any testnet Bitcoin, we're not to the point where we're mining yet, but we can see the code's running, and it starts with that first ever block that we see. So to get this to stop now, you're going to press Control-C on your keyboard. Boom. So now we're back out of it. All right. So the next thing we need to do is to generate a keychain for you. And let me pull up those instructions here. Okay, so I just sent you the next command. This one will use Node to download the stack CLI package, and it'll do the make keychain command, which makes us a testnet keychain. And it'll actually save it to a file, so we can look back at it later as well. So we'll just copy that one in.
Okay. Looks like it needs another tweak, maybe.
Let's see. NPX is not recognized. We may have to do this from outside of PowerShell. So what I'll have you do is, yeah, we'll do that. So instead of PowerShell, go ahead and go to the normal command prompt. You should be able to access it from the start menu just the same. It'll be called, yep, that looked like the one. It popped up and it disappeared on me.
Oh, okay, let me share that with you. There we go. All right.
Okay, so we're going to do the same change directory or CD command. Oh, and it didn't here either. Interesting.
Is that what you expect to see?
Yeah, well, I'm expecting it to recognize it because if you installed Node, this should be there as part of the Node package.
Okay,
so
let me try that again.
And that's okay. We're just going to test something out. So first thing I want you to do is put node-v. So it'll be node space -v, and we'll see if it comes up with a version for us. Okay, so that's not recognized either. So if we go to, It's going to be the best way to do this, depending on how you installed it. If you go to your start menu, do you have an option for Node? Like, is there something that comes up?
Node. No.
Nothing that comes up?
No, I've got a question regarding. That is a bit annoying. I've got a question regarding a security gateway that I put in place. Is that going to have any effect on running nodes?
It shouldn't. Like, normally this would work behind a NAT network. So, you know, you have your private network where you're at, and then you're connected to the public network, which is the internet. So any router that, as long as you can get to normal websites and do things normally, that should be okay.
Okay.
But if you run into some weird errors after we get the miner up and running, we may have to change something, but I doubt it. It seems like it runs pretty well behind any systems.
Okay.
All right, so next up, let's go back to your downloads folder. I saw we had the Node.js package there. Let's try installing it again and see what happens.
Okay. That one right there?
I still see the I still see the command prompt.
Is that the one you wanted me to install?
Oh, I still just see the command prompt at this point.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. If there's a way, there might be a way to share your entire screen that like lets you change between windows a little bit easier.
Well, let's try this.
Sure.
If that's what you're talking about.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, now we can see a little bit of everything, so we'll be able to move through. So yeah, let's go ahead and double click that package right there, and we'll kind of go through the steps and make sure it did what it was supposed to do.
Is that where you wanted it?
Okay, yep, sorry, I had to close another window. So yeah, go ahead and go through that. Next.
Any other setup?
We'll go with the defaults. You can hit next.
Defaults?
All right. Looks like it's moving right along, so that's a good sign. Okay, so we can hit finish.
Finish where?
Okay, and we'll come back to our command prompt.
Okay.
And you can press the up arrow, and we'll just, and then hit enter. It'll run that node-v again. Let's see if that works now. Okay. If we go to your start menu, do you have an option for node now?
See it.
Nothing for node. If you type node.
We try.
Sure.
Yeah, there it is.
Okay, let's open that up. Oh, you want the top one actually, because that would be the installer, so you can cancel that.
Okay. Cancel or finish?
Finish.
And then you wanted me to go.
Yeah, so we'll go back to the start menu, type in node.
Oh, there it is. That one, right?
Yeah, that's the one.
Okay.
All right, so from node here, I've got to look up something real quick because I don't know how to use it this way necessarily.
Okay.
But I can look up something really fast for that. So let's take a look.
So am I going to want to be using Node.js command line interface?
No, Node is only required to generate the keychain that you need.
Okay.
Because the program we're going to use to do it is a Node package. So when we use that command npx, it basically says download this package, run this command, and then you get a result. So it's just a fast way to do that.
Okay.
So let's see, Windows. All right, I got one more thing to read here real quick. So just in the Node little window there, if you type in npx and hit enter, do we get any kind of result or some instructions?
Uncaught reference error.
X is not defined. Okay.
Was it Nancy Paul X?
Yes, it was. Yeah, you got it. You have it correct.
Okay.
Yeah, for me, when I have Node installed, I can just I'm able to do this without having to think about it. So I think.
But you think that Microsoft would be just as easy as Ubuntu, huh?
Well, the trouble is with, or at least the challenge with Ubuntu would be you would need to run like VirtualBox or another software to run the operating system. So it ends up being just a whole different set of steps. So I mean, easier is kind of relative to that because then you'll be running like a computer inside the computer, and I prefer that in some ways, but I thought that setting it up on the operating system that you're going to use will ultimately be easiest.
Okay.
Cool. So I sent you a little command there that should install npx, and I'm curious if it works anyway. So I want to give that a try. That'll be in the Node window.
Yeah. Oh, that's weird.
Oh, did it not paste?
Didn't copy. Oh, how weird. Okay. NPM. Does that make sense to you?
I might need to zoom in a little here, but give me just a sec. npm should be run outside. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll actually do this from the command prompt instead.
In the PowerShell?
I think the actual command prompt instead for this one. There it is.
Oh, that was weird.
Okay. npm works, npx doesn't. And just one more time, so I'm not, yeah, I'm wondering if I missed a step here. If you were to type in just npx and hit enter, so Nancy Paul X-ray, does it work now? It looks like it works now. I think we had to close and open the command prompt window, and that was my fault for not thinking of that. Sorry about that.
No problem.
So what we'll do here is in your command prompt, the one you have open, I'll have you run this command that I'm sending you. And it's that same change directory, and so it'll be cd downloads. Okay, so from here, we're going to run that npx command again. So the one that says npx at stack CLI.
Well, npx.
Yeah, it's 4 up in our conversation on Discord there.
Oh, sorry. Did you want me to grab some up here?
Yeah, so in the chat, you'll see the one that says npx at stack CLI. It's like the long one there.
Yeah.
You'll want to run that one in your command prompt, and it should work this time.
Not recognized.
Looks like we got the word npx twice. I would try pasting again.
There we go.
Sweet. All right, so that'll take just about 2-3 minutes here, but what it's going to do is it's going to make a file in that same folder, and it will contain your private key, your test Bitcoin address, and your stacks address, all for the testnet. So wow, that happened actually pretty quick. So next command that I have for you, we're just going to make sure the file is where it should be. And I'll give you the standard disclaimer. So normally, whenever we're dealing with cryptocurrency, anything else, you keep your private keys private. This is going to show your private key, but this is for you to learn how to interact with it and work with it. And it's on testnet, so everything is still fine. But definitely something to keep in mind. Anytime you're dealing with private keys, you want to make sure they're only privy to you.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, so we'll throw that into the command prompt, and we should see the contents of that file. Perfect. So there's your 24-word phrase, your private key, which we'll need for the configuration file, your stacks address, and your Bitcoin address that we'll need for the faucet.
Do you recommend I copy and paste this into a Word file and kind of sift it apart and sift through it later?
Yeah, or you know what, it's saved there if you ever need it at all. So you'll always have it, and you can, if you wanted to look through it, you can do that. We're just going to grab a few values from what we put out right here.
Okay.
So first thing we're going to do is download the configuration file, which I can actually send you a copy of. So if you want to open up Notepad for me. And there's the configuration file that we'll put into Notepad.
This thing is not even set up yet, you know, so I don't have Notepad.
If you go like just to the start menu, is there going to be a notepad maybe that way?
I'm sure it's there. Yeah.
I've gotten to the point on Windows 10, any app I want, I hit the start menu, I do a quick search. If I don't find it, then I go chase it down. But I believe Notepad should be on there by default. You just type the word note.
Oh, right, good point.
Oh, there's a million ways to do things. It's hard. There you go. Perfect. So yeah, just pop that one open. Okay, and we'll take that. So the long text that I just sent you in the chat, we want to take that and put that in Notepad. Yeah, starting with Node. Yep. This is the configuration file. So it's the same text that you get from the documentation instructions and that I have in my repo as well.
What do I want to save this as?
And then we're going to save it. So you go File, Save. And we're going to call it, so the name will be config, C-O-N-F-I-G.
All lowercase?
Sure. And it'll be period T-O-M-L. So that's Tom, Oscar, Mike, Lima. And then we're going to choose the folder of downloads. And then that Windows 64 folder, go ahead and select that as well. Last thing before we hit save, where it says save as type text documents.
Yeah.
We want to change that to all files. That tells it not to put an extra extension on the end. So that'll make it just, so save there. So next step, you want to go back to the command prompt that we have where we have your key and everything.
Yeah.
And right on the second, let's see, third line, well, it's a little bit of the second and third line. We want all that text after private key, where it says FD07, all the way to F5, 5F01. So you're right over it, a little bit lower.
Oh, right here?
Yeah, we want that private key is what goes in your configuration. So again, in a mainnet or main internet type way, this is the part you would keep private. But just for instruction purposes, we can go over it here. So you'll copy it. If you can select it on the command prompt there, and you'll have to right click to copy the text. So you want that whole private key in between the quotes.
Cut it out?
Yep. Oh. And then we're going to put it, so then you go back to your configuration file. You might have to right click to do it.
I think I'm going to lose it when I right click. Yeah. I'll just copy it and then delete it out. Huh.
Actually, cancel that.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do is under the first section of node, you'll see about the 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth one down is seed. That's where you want that private key to go, is in between the quotes right there after seed.
After seed.
Yeah, a little bit lower than you got your mouse right now.
In the notepad file or in the
Yeah, so in the notepad file, you'll see on the left-hand side, it says seed equals, and then in between those quotes is where that private key is.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Let's get rid of the private key. You want the parentheses or the quotation mark?
we'll want to keep them there as well.
Okay.
Looking good. So we'll file save that when we're done.
Okay.
Okay, so now that we've saved our configuration file and you put in that seed, you can go ahead and close that out.
And where did that seed come from anyway?
So the seed is the actual private key. So that's created by the Stacks CLI package that we used. So they have a package that they host up that does the, like one for key generation, just like we download one to run the miner. It's part of the different software. So when we ran that command that said npx, that was what went out. It got the package from Stacks and it created a keychain for us. So the 24 words, the mnemonic phrase, it relates to that private key, and that private key is how we get your Stacks address and Bitcoin address. So your Stacks address and Bitcoin address are public items, but they're all created from that private key right there. That's why it's normally something you would keep to yourself and never share, kind of thing.
And you can create a Bitcoin and a Stacks address from the same private key?
Yes, yeah. So they have the details on it are, I think, either in the SIPs or it came up recently in the chat. There's a certain protocol, a certain encryption protocol that's followed to create both a Stacks address and a Bitcoin address. So it uses the private key as like your source of truth or the main information to generate each one of those addresses the way they're supposed to be made. And that's pretty common. Like even if you think of a ledger, like a little Ledger Nano or a hardware device like that, it'll usually have the private key on it. And that private key will be used to make a Bitcoin address or an Ethereum address or a Stacks address or anything like that.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's pretty fascinating. I'm learning a lot more quickly, so I'm just trying to keep up as well. All right, so next step here, we want to get you some test Bitcoin at your Bitcoin address. So what I will do is send you another command in just a second. Find the right screen. One of those days where I have way too many tabs open. That's not like me.
I always have too many tabs open.
Okay, so I'm going to send you a command. We're going to use this one in PowerShell. And you're going to have to replace one little part. Actually, give me 1 second. I'm going to edit that.
Okay.
Place BTC. Okay, so this is kind of a two-part deal. You'll copy that into PowerShell, but before you run it, we actually have to put your Bitcoin address into it, just to make sure that you get the Bitcoin to your address.
Right. So copy and paste this one first?
Yeah, so you copy and paste that one first into PowerShell.
Okay. And replace the BTC BTC. Okay, so then go back to the.
Yeah, we'll get it from the command prompt after that. So, so you can hit. Oh, well, actually, let me see that again. I think it gave us a different error than I expected anyway. And we can do it. There's actually a website for the faucet too, so we could do it that way if it's easier.
Oh, you just put the faucet address in there, or what?
Yeah, so the address or the website I just sent you, if you open that up, you can put your Bitcoin address in there, and that'll work for you.
Okay. Let's see now. Where was that? Oh, that was in Discord, right?
Yeah, I just sent you that in Discord. That'll probably be easier. It's like the command essentially does the same thing that we're doing when we fill in the form and hit submit. So sometimes it's easier one way or another, but it doesn't really matter.
Okay. So just copy and paste the faucet?
No, if you click on that, like go ahead and open up that link,
Oh.
you'll see a little form. This is the faucet they were using with the testnet. And this is actually, you know, I'm happy we're going through all this, but it's about to change to a new phase. So the way some of this is working might change, but I wanted you to see kind of what the process was, and we're going to get through it anyway. So if you scroll down a little bit, and the one where it says get your testnet Bitcoin tokens,
Yeah.
that's where you want to paste your Bitcoin address from the command prompt.
From the command prompt. Okay, so that was,
Black square down there.
let's see here.
And then that's going to be towards the, no, it's going to be towards the end. It's the one that says, keep going to your right. It's not that one. That's your private key. That's your stacks address. Keep going to your right.
That's the stacks right there, right?
Yeah, you want the one right after that. So it starts with MTY.
Yeah.
There you go. So that one's your Bitcoin address.
Oh. Ends with 9?
Yep.
Okay.
Perfect. So yeah, you'll copy that, and then you'll put it into the screen behind
And
it.
that was the command prompt.
Yeah, and then the second one where it says get your Bitcoin, we'll enter it there.
Oh, right. Too many screens.
Oh, I know. We're blazing right through. Fortunately, we're almost there though, so that's good.
That's cool, man.
Okay, so now we know you're going to receive your Bitcoin in just a moment. While we're waiting for that, let's see, what else do we need to do? Let me make sure I didn't miss a step here. I think we're ready to start the miner. Okay, so this one is going to go in the, it can actually go in either, do you want to use PowerShell or command prompt? I think we should use command prompt, and that might be the easiest.
Okay. You have something in the Discord?
Yeah, I'm typing it up now.
Okay.
I believe for yours, it's going to look like that. So basically, we're telling it to start the miner or to start the stacks node and to use our configuration file, which says, hey, I want to be a miner. Here's my private key, and here's all my addresses that you can see. So that's perfect.
Dude, I would never in a million years be able to do this by myself.
Oh, you're there, though. This is it. You'll see right there in the beginning. So if you move your mouse over to the right before it flies by, you'll see miner node starting up, UTXOs found. Up a little bit higher. Look for that UTXO. That's the keyword.
Oh, yeah.
So UTXO is found means that the miner node started, it checked your Bitcoin address, and it said, hey, I see Bitcoin there. Let's start mining. So it's officially running. This is it.
Wow.
So what's going to happen now is this will catch up with the network, which, again, the network's probably going to go down in the next day or two as we switch over to a new phase. And that's going to probably change a little bit about how we connect and how we do things. But for right now, while it's still running, this will download all of the blocks in the stacks chain. It will download all the blocks on the Bitcoin chain and get you all caught up with the network. And then once that's done, you will become an active miner. So then you will start submitting a little bit of Bitcoin. You'll try and win the leader election. If you win the leader election, then you create the next stacks block, and that's when you're rewarded with stacks at your stacks.
That's so cool.
So yeah, you got it, man. This is it. And this is what you're seeing here, and you'll start to see text kind of fly by as it loads and everything else. This is what the mining bot does in the background for you. So this is how it's able to make things a little bit easier. But for now, and especially given that things are about to change with the new phase anyway, I think we can call this success right here.
That's great, man. Thanks, Jason.
Yeah, no problem. So what we'll do is we'll leave that running. Oh, and the one, actually, let me send you some helpful links here that you can kind of...
You think I can set the bot up by myself?
What's that?
You think I'd have any issues setting up the bot?
No, it's just some more commands. So let's see. For the bot, we need one more program installed. So from the... let's see, where do we want to do that? If we go ahead and bring up your command prompt again. And you can hit Control C. That's going to stop your miner for the moment.
Yeah.
And then I am sending you a new command. We're going to see if you have the program called Git. So on the miner, if you hit Control C, it should stop.
Oh, I thought I did.
I have a little bit of lag, so I might have missed it, but I think we can get through that.
I think it stopped.
No, it looks like it's still running. It's still fetching.
Oh, is it still
blocks.
running?
So
Okay.
Control C is, there you go. Now we got the prompt again. And then if you'll run the command I just sent you.
Okay.
And mining
Git version.
alpha. Let me grab these instructions.
What does that do?
So this is a program that allows us to download code from GitHub or anything else that supports supports Git is like a version control thing. So it's like if I make a change to a file, I can go back and I can have history and versions, and that's what Stacks blockchain uses. That's what a lot of open source code uses. And Git is the program that keeps track of all that. So what we use Git for is to be able to download a copy of a program or something like it. And we could install it, but there's also some ways to get around it and not have to use it as well, just for this particular thing. So let me get a link for you. Okay, so you're going to want to download this file, and we want to save it in that same folder just to make life a little bit easier.
Oh, and the okay. I think I know what you're talking about.
Sure. Yeah, and I'll have one more for you to download as well.
In here?
Yeah, so if you just click on that link, it should ask you to download the file, and that's where we want to put it. But I think you have to actually click on the link, and it'll come up in Firefox.
Okay, I'm doing something wrong.
Okay, so yeah,
Hold
if you
click on that link.
yeah, it's fighting with you a little bit. So yeah, if you go to the chat again and just click on that link, yes, you'll go here.
I put that in Windows.
Yep, exactly. So double click on Windows.
You want to save that as all?
Yeah, and then go ahead and save that right there. Oh, I see. That'll still work, I think. We'll see.
Did you want me to save it as all? Or?
Yeah, and that it does the same thing either way in this case, so that's just fine. You want to click the other link that I just sent you in Discord now. So this one's for the mining bot. Or no, you got mining bot, so you want to get the mining local server, the one right above it.
This one here?
Yep. Yeah, these are all the files that we'll need to run the mining bot.
Where do you want that one? In here?
Right there is perfect, actually. You just hit save.
Okay. You want to compress?
Yeah. We're still going to have to extract it, just like we did with the Windows one. But that's okay. So now we'll go to your downloads folder.
Download. All right. You want to extract that, or no? We already did that.
Yeah. So you you'll go into the Windows folder, and you'll want to extract those two, the mining local bot or server and bot both. Yep. Extract all. You can just hit the next and get through that. And then as soon as that's done, we'll do the same for local server.
There we go. All right.
Okay. Oh, we've got lovely folder and folder going on here. Let me see. How can we fix that? So what
Did you want me to clean these
what
up?
it did is it put each inside of the folder. So if you go go into MiningBot master real quick at the top there. Or not that one,
Did you take that out?
No, because that's a zip file. So if you actually want to come out of that, so if you click on Windows 64 up a little bit, right there. So see how that one says compressed on the right, and the one up top says file folder.
Let me expand that a little bit.
Yeah, or you've got it. So you've got MiningBot master at the very top. Do you see that one?
Yes.
Yeah, that one's the actual folder, whereas the other one is still a compressed or a zipped file.
What do we want to do with this?
You can delete that, actually.
Okay.
We don't need it anymore. Same with the one right next to it. Perfect. And then if you go into the MiningBot folder, and we'll try to think of the fastest way I can do this for you. Go ahead and right click on MiningBot here, rename towards the bottom, and take off the word master with the dash. This is more of an OCD thing for me, but I think it'll be helpful in the long run. Perfect. So you can click off of that, it'll save. And then right click on that MiningBot folder and go to cut. And then we're going to go up one folder and paste, just in the blank area at the bottom. Then we're going to do the same for the local server.
Oh.
Yeah, we're fixing you can delete that one now. We're basically fixing it, making two folders, and we don't want to deal with that later. So we're going to go into that one's good. And then the next one is mining local server. You want to rename that. And take off the master and the dash. Perfect. And right click cut. There you go. You're a pro already.
And you want to get rid of that?
Yeah, just to make life a little easier.
Yeah. All right.
Okay, so now we'll open up the command prompt again. So first one we'll do is local server. I just sent you the command. We're going to change to that directory. Okay, so from there, let me double check I got the right command here. You're going to run npm install. And what this does is it takes all of the code of this program, it installs it, and then we'll be able to run it. And then we'll have to do it one more time for the other one, and you have a little website you can access that comes up. So you're right on the right track.
Is it like a user interface or what?
Yeah, exactly. That's at this stage. Later on, they're hoping for it to provide a ton more functionality. That's a little bit about what the demo was about last night. So just to make sure this works, the next one you're going to run is npm start, and we should get some messages there. Okay, perfect. So that's the first step. we actually want to open a new command prompt window. We're going to leave that one running.
Okay.
You do that through the start menu. You just type the word command. Excellent. So then I sent you a command there that will put you in the right folder. Excellent. So for this one, we're going to run a command that I bet you don't have. Let's see. I didn't think of this ahead of time, but let's try this one and see if it works.
Okay.
There's two package installers that are used in the npm or in the node world, and if this one isn't installed, then we're going to have to install it real quick. Okay, so for that, I believe, let me get the correct command just to make sure it's right. Okay, Windows. Okay, so I think this is going to be the command for you. Sending it. Oh, let me get on the right screen. There we go. Okay, so now if we try the yarn -- version, does it work now? You can actually hit the up arrow twice and go back to that command if it's faster. It's one of those neat tricks in command prompt. The up arrow will bring up old commands that we've run before.
Is it that one?
Yeah, that's the one. Yep. You just hit enter. And do we get a result now? Whoop. There it is. Perfect. So now it works. So now we're going to do yarn install, which is going to take a few minutes. This will actually set up the mining bot, which is what gives you like a little web interface to work with.
Oh, do you want me to run that one?
Yes, we'll do yarn and then install.
Yarn install. Error.
Oh, looks like try pasting it one more time. Looks like two commands got on top of each other there.
Oh, okay.
That's okay. I think you have to right-click paste in the. There it goes. You got it. Okay, so we wait for this to finish. When that is all done, you'll run the same command we did in the other one, I believe is, yeah. So when that's all done, you'll run this command. And once we get this one running, between the two, you should be able to access what you need. So we're just waiting for that command to finish. Sometimes it can take like 5 minutes or so. So we'll let it run for right now.
Oh, should I try the other one now?
Yeah, we're ready to run that command now.
Okay.
All right, so that one's going pretty quick too. That's good news. we were doing this on another computer, and it took like literally probably 15, 17 minutes to build all this. So good news, it's running fast.
What's the longest time it's taken?
It just depends. I mean, the slower the computer or the more things installed, it can make a difference. That link I sent you will work when this is all done. So we want to wait for it to finish first. But yeah, it's different. I mean, even the Stacks blockchain code. So what we did is we downloaded it from GitHub where it was already put together and ready to go for us. But when you actually build the code, depending on what's going on with it and what, like on my little laptop here, it took me 20, 25 minutes or so. So it just depends on what's going on. You know, it takes a little while to put the program together, essentially. Right. Okay, so you should be good to click on that link I sent you in the chat.
Okay.
And this is the web interface for the mining bot.
Oh.
So what you do here, the first step is to set a password. And this password is what encrypts your information because you have the option to enter your 24-word private key to put the addresses in. So this will just be just something you'll remember because if you lock the screen, you're the only one who can unlock it, that kind of thing.
Okay.
All right, so this is the mining bot. And what it shows you, there's those 3 tabs on the left, or the 3 menu items. This first one is your public data, so you'll see the Stacks price and the Bitcoin price compared to USDT, which is essentially priced the same as the US dollar. And then you'll see the Stacks BTC price compared to each other. Underneath that, you'll see the chain info, which is where the chain is currently at. So when we were running a miner before, I was telling you we had to catch up. And what we need to do is we have to process the 2,044 Bitcoin blocks and the 1,620 Stacks blocks to catch up with everybody else on the network. Because, you know, the way a blockchain works, everything goes in order. So we've got to catch up to that before we can start making anything new.
Before we can mine, right?
Exactly. Yeah, because when you're mining, you're actually competing to create the next block in the Stacks blockchain. So when you win that leader election, you know, you've got, let's say, 10 people that are trying to do it. The function will say, all right, you get to make the next block. Here's all the information. For doing that, you get the reward. So that's what we're doing when we're mining, essentially, is we're building the Stacks blockchain.
Wow.
Yeah, this is really cool. The more I'm explaining it, the more it's teaching me the right words to use and things. And I can visualize it a lot better now than before I started doing these little sessions. So it's actually really helpful for me too.
Absolutely.
So next up, thanks. Next up, what we're going to do is go to the wallet menu option on your left there.
Okay. Wallet menu. All right.
And you can go ahead and click the add button over there on the right, and we're going to add some information. But to get that information, we'll need to go back to the command prompt.
We want the address?
Yeah, exactly. And what I sent you now, I think we can do it from PowerShell, actually. That might be easier. Because this, you'll only be able to scroll back so far. Right. So if you want to open up your PowerShell that we had, I just sent you a command in Discord. Okay. And I think it'll work from PowerShell. So let's give that a shot. Okay. So this is the same thing where we're looking at our keys again, basically.
Right. Just drop that in here?
I think so. PowerShell lets us, what's going on here is these are actually the same stacks and the same Bitcoin address that we see in PowerShell. So that's where I was telling you, you know, we use that private key, and that private key is the same as your 24 words to create or know what your Bitcoin and what your stacks address is. So that's a little bit about how that relationship works.
Okay.
Cool. So now
I'm going to forget this, so I'll put in a note.
Oh, I'm gonna send you this recording as well.
Oh,
so
nice.
You'll be able to look back if that's easy for you. And of course, I mean, you're welcome to make notes. I have an open issue right now where I've been writing down some of the snags that we run into, and we're trying to make the documentation better as well. So definitely any input there is really helpful. But this is we're kind of going above and beyond anyway because we're running the mining bot. But that's okay. I like it. You know, I'm glad you wanted to try it. So on the left-hand side, you'll want to pick the mining client menu option. And I believe if you hit start mining, let's see if we can get it to work. It may or may not work, but we'll give it a shot here. So right next to your BTC address on the left is a little button.
Yeah.
That's the one. And hit next. This is where you can change your burn fee. So and we're going to leave it as default, but just so you know what that is every
20,000 sats.
Yep. Every time you compete to mine a block, that's what you would spend. And that's where you become part of that random function to see if you win and you get to make the next stacks block. Some people might change this number. We did in the last competition. The idea was you could spend a little more, which might means you get chosen a little more, but the goal is to mine as cheaply as possible. You know, we don't want to spend more Bitcoin than we have to. So there's some interesting strategies coming around changing this number. But for now, just to see if it works, let's leave it at the default and hit finish. Let's see if that starts up.
And it'll work with the testnet Bitcoin?
Yes. Yeah, and it's all the same process, but you would use a Bitcoin address that you'd transfer Bitcoin to in order to do the mining. So that would make everything work. But it's that error we just saw. I'm not 100% sure how to fix it, unfortunately. But we do have it documented, and I'll bring it back to the daemon team and say, hey, look, here's how we did the installation. Here's all the steps we took, and we'll see what's going on with it. I'm sure we'll get it fixed.
Okay.
Cool. So the last thing that you see on this screen is all that mining info at the bottom.
Yeah.
These are all the addresses that are currently mining or have mined on the testnet so far. And this list gets reset every time the network is reset. We're probably going to lose this list when we move into the new phase of Xenon. But it gives you an idea of you know, how many times they actually won, how many blocks they mined total, and how much money they spent. And this is the sort of interface where we start to think of a strategy and say, okay, if I spend a little more, maybe I'll win a little more, maybe not. And this is a good place to get information.
Yeah. I was kind of curious, like, you know, how many sats you'd be spending for mining?
Yeah, if you look at the default spend being 20,000 sats per block, and one stacks block is created with every Bitcoin block, so that happens about every 10 minutes or so, then you'd be spending 20,000 sats every 10 minutes.
Cool.
And that's where I'm trying to learn a little more too. So my goal with this next competition is to come in with the framework of like, okay, if I'm spending real money, like we get to do it with the test Bitcoin, we get to adjust our strategy, but like, what if I actually wanted to mine on mainnet? What would be my strategy? How would I do it? This is my chance to test that out. So that's one of the goals I think a lot of us want to learn right now is how do we actually do this? And this time around, I think the competition is the perfect time to just give it a try, and be one of the people on the list.
Sure. Well, I'm happy to be set up and ready to go, you know?
Yeah, yeah, and if you want, so what you can do is close out this mining bot window,
Yeah.
and we'll stop the mining bot, but we'll start your miner and let it run for, you know, all the way up until they change the network again.
Uh-huh.
That way you can get the idea of how it looks. So we'll bring up both those command prompts again.
Okay.
Looks like, okay, so on this one, you'll want to hit Control-C.
This one here?
Yeah. That way we'll stop it, because we don't need to run it unless we're using it.
Did that stop?
No, you should see the command prompt again. So
There
try, there it goes. And then hit the letter Y and enter. Excellent. So you're going to type in one more little command here to go up a directory.
Just change directory.
Yeah, CD and then a double dot says to go backwards one.
Double dot. It's not that one.
And you can actually close the other command prompt as well.
Okay.
Because we're done with it for now. Okay, so one more time, we're going to run this command, which basically says to start our miner over again.
Okay.
And what I would do is, this is what you would, I mean, either this or the mining bot with the web interface. This is the part that we want to leave running. So this will give you an idea of how that works and what some of the screens look like. And then down the road, once we have the mining bot kind of fixed up a little bit and Damon has like a new release, then we should be able to use that web interface instead. But I'd say just let this run and you can kind of see how it works from here.
Okay.
So that will run. That's going to connect or catch up with the network. So it's going to go through and download all the blocks that we saw before. And once that's done, it will start mining. And you'll start mining with the Stacks address and Bitcoin address that we saw earlier. But what you'll see as this runs is actually a bunch of information will keep flying by the screen. So like right now it's in the early stages, so it kind of gets stuck on a few of these words. But when it's actually running, you'll see information passing by, which will be who's mining, any smart contracts that are being processed, and some additional information that just continuously goes on the screen. So this part will keep running.
Okay. So then we just reconvene when we have more upgrades or what, or iterations?
Yeah, and I mean, the big change that's happening right now is we're going from the Krypton phase out of that and into the Xenon phase. And in the code, what this means is right now, Blockstack PBC had their own Bitcoin node that they were running in testnet mode, or reg test mode as they call it. So they had their own Bitcoin node and that we were running and pointing at. And we also had their own Stacks node that they were running. And then we were all connecting to their Bitcoin node for this first iteration. So the next phase, we're going to use the actual real Bitcoin testnet that has nodes all over the world versus just using the one node that Blockstack PBC runs. So wow. that's kind of a big infrastructure change, but it's not. I don't know exactly what we're going to have to change for our configuration. Switching from the one Bitcoin node that Blockstack ran in test mode over to the entire Bitcoin testnet network. So it's a whole bunch of people who are running nodes, much like the normal Bitcoin network. So it'll be an infrastructure change. And I don't know exactly what we're going to have to change as miners just yet, but that information should be coming out in the next few days anyway.